This is Scoop Inside. I'm Shazmin Shamsuddin with Azim Idris.
Hi, it's nice to be back.
It's been a while since we've had Azim on.
Yes, certainly has.
Yes, and today we'll be discussing ethical online content.
Yeah. So from misinformation to clickbait to hate speech and influencer marketing, the digital age is becoming more influential than ever. So how do we create a space that is respectful, informed, and ethical?
Yes, and to help us understand that and explore that in depth is Mediha Mahmood, the CEO of Content Forum Malaysia, the organization behind the Content Code, which is a self regulatory framework guiding ethical content practices in the country, though many are not aware of that. Welcome, Mediha.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So, just another brief introduction. The Communications and Multimedia Content Forum of Malaysia, or Content Forum, is an independent self-regulatory organization established under the Communication and Multimedia Act 1998. And its primary role is to promote responsible content practices across Malaysia's digital and broadcast landscape. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Anyway, let's start with the basics. What is ethical online content, especially in the Malaysian context?
Right. So if you look at the fact that we are in industry forum under the Communications and Multimedia Act, when we were first born in 2001, 2002, the content ecosystem had broadcasters and advertisers. Those were the only guys who were putting out content. But now everyone with a device that can record is a content creator. Right? So content is coming at us from everywhere to everyone in every form. And there is a need for there to be some ethics in it because that content is reaching out to audiences from as young as, I don't know, toddlers to senior citizens and everyone else. So when you talk about ethics, it's purely the fact that we can exercise our creativity and our freedom of speech, freedom of creativity. But the barrier there is if it harms others, there needs to be some action there, or there needs to be a protection from us crossing that line. So ethical standards is all about that.
Yeah, why do you think the conversation around digital ethics has become more urgent in recent years?
Because of exactly that. The fact that there are more of us creating content and there are more of us creating content without realizing the impact of how that content can either influence others or might even be harmful to others.
Actually, we have seen, circumstances where, it's made the news.
Yeah.
I mean, Azim, part of Scoop, I mean, you write these stories.
Yes. I have a couple of examples that we
Yeah.
go over
Okay.
in a bit. But before that, I just want to, how many users does this involve? Like in terms of like monitoring.
Okay.
Yeah. Like you said, content creators.
Right. Okay. So just to make it very clear, we and the content forum, we don't monitor users either, so we wouldn't have the data. But if I can tell you the number of people who are subscribing to the content forum's self-regulatory framework, we've got around 70 members now.
Okay.
And some of those members are also associations, for example, like the Film Directors Association or the National Council of Women Organization. So there's quite a reach. And this is the group or community who are putting ourselves accountable to ethical standards. Yeah.
Right. So should we go through some of the examples?
Yeah.
Sectors that we have working on. So we've written a couple of articles in the recent past. One of them involved a public transportation company on racist undertones in a training advertisement.
Okay.
So that caused a lot of controversy. And although they argued that he was aimed at being inclusive, it kind of drew a lot of backlash.
Yeah.
And that was one incident. Another incident involved a pharmaceutical company, where there was a promotional video of a local influencer, who is not of Indian ethnic background, in Indian attire, which was probably seen as cultural appropriation, or highly inappropriate, by being like mimicking accents and scanning items on wearing sacred symbols and
Right.
stuff like that. So do you have any other examples of where Contact Forum has stepped in, to
Yes.
to kind of sort this out.
Yes, there has been quite a few, and I think it's very unique also to Malaysia because we're multicultural, multi-religious. We want to be inclusive, we want to be diverse in the content that we produce, but sometimes we may find ourselves crossing the line without knowing that there was a line to cross. So for us, we react to public complaints, right? And what we've seen before, and this is like years before, we saw an attempt by a national broadcaster juga. It was for that was when Raya and Christmas, I think, was celebrated at the same time. So there was a cross cultural thing that was going on. And from the broadcaster's point of view, they were doing something nice. It was just a mix of different elements at the Raya elements and Christmas elements, but it got a lot of backlash as well.
Yeah.
So for us, these are the things that are not black and white. So it really depends on public perception. At the same time, not just it's not once a person complains, that doesn't necessarily mean that you did the wrong thing.
Right.
So for the Content Forum, we have a complaints bureau. Now, this complaints bureau is headed by a chairman. It's also represented by different categories of our membership. So there's a representative for broadcasters, for civic group, etc. They sit down and they review the content, and then they will decide whether, from a reasonable man or reasonable person standard, whether that was a breach of the code or not. And then they will then decide whether it was intentional, whether the harm was caused was terrible enough to sanction the person who put it out. Contohnya for the broadcasters and for us, the Complaints Bureau can do three things. Either put out a written reprimand to say, you guys, this was wrong. You shouldn't do this and why it was wrong. Number two, they can ask for it to be removed or taken down. And number three, we can issue a sanction. And ours go up to just 50,000 ringgit lah. Because the whole point of our whole establishment is not to be punitive about it, but to make sure that everybody knows what these standards are and comply with it. Yeah.
So, you mentioned the content code.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about that. For us who don't know,
Yep.
what is this content code?
Yeah.
Who does it apply to?
Right.
How does it work?
Okay. So the content code is something we're very proud of because if you think about the fact that Malaysia has so many laws, right? And in each of these laws, there's something related to content. For example, the Child Act, it talks about child protection in so many aspects. But there's one provision that talks about how if you want to report crime about a child, either they committed the crime or they were related to the person who committed the crime or is a victim of a crime, you cannot identify or do anything, identify features of the child. So that's a content related,
Yeah.
right, in one act. So many other acts in the penal code and all that. So we put all of this in the content code. So if you're a content creator, whether you're a broadcaster or you're a social media user, you refer to the content code and this should be in it. And this code is developed by the Content Forum, but it also goes through international benchmarking to see what are standards out there that we can adopt for Malaysia. It also goes through a nationwide public consultation where people can give their input as well. And I can share with you when we did this the last time in 2022, it was the people who gave us suggestions that we didn't see. For example, having better accessibility of content for persons with disabilities, or talking about suicide in a more safe way.
Yes.
So the content code, if I can say, it is made by the people for the people. Yes, it can only be enforced in a way or implemented by our members who have subscribed to it, but it can still be used as a reference for anyone else out there who's with content.
What is the public actually, their perception of the content code? Do they believe or understand that it actually does apply to them when they use, expression on the internet or anywhere?
Right, right. So we do a lot of engagement work with the public, and I can probably share with you that it is an eye opener for certain aspects of the code. It's an eye opener for people, and our principle is we don't dictate. We don't want to say don't do this or censor this. That's the last thing we want to do. We just want to tell you these are the content standards and this is why. Contohnya, for example, I give you when people during the pandemic there was a lot of mental health issues, suicide cases, and it wasn't just the media who was reporting on these cases. It was content creators who were putting out
Talking about it.
yeah, talking about it. And in suicide reporting all over the world, there's this thing called the Werther effect. It's a medical term where if you report suicide in too detailed a manner, it's almost like you are giving a blueprint to others in the same position to do the same thing. So that's where we realize that this is something that we need to put in the content code and also engage people to understand this so that they know. So when we speak to people, first, biasalah, whenever you tell people there's something you shouldn't do, we never, none of us like to be told what to do. But how we approach this is by saying the reason why you shouldn't do this is because it can actually save lives.
Yeah.
And what you're doing can actually affect other people in a certain way. So I feel that the public, once they understand that we're not here to dictate what you can and cannot do, we're just telling you what the standards should be. And you decide up to your conscience and to your personal parameters, then we get them buy in there.
Oh, you said that there was a 50,000 sanction just now.
Compound.
That's a compound. That sounds like something enforceable.
Yes.
So
How is it?
how is it? And because it doesn't mean that content forum is something that is toothless, right? Because it does have
Does.
some. So how does that work?
Okay, so it's like this. You picture us as a content forum. So there are members. We have members from broadcasters, etc. We sit down. We all decide with this content code. This is what we should and shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So then you do something against what we have all decided that we shouldn't do. And then when we say, okay, we've all looked at it and we've decided that, yeah, I'm sorry, you breached the content code.
Yeah.
We tell you, we're offering you this fine of, let's say, 15,000.
Okay.
You know that you breached it. You're invested in the standards.
Right.
You recognize that you've reached the standards, and then you pay that compound.
Right.
That's how it works in the content forum. And so far, every single complaint that we've had where we've offered or where we've imposed that sanction, they've paid. They've
Okay.
appealed the quantum sometimes, but they've paid.
They pay, and what are the consequences if they fail to pay up
Yeah.
the compound?
Nothing really, unless somebody else comes out and goes to them
Okay.
with a similar charge against the same content. Which is, I can also share, if, let's say, your content, somebody complained about your content, the Complaints Bureau looks at it and says, you're fine, you didn't do anything wrong. The Complaints Bureau order is, under the Act, an available legal defense for you should other authorities
Right.
come against you for some other law.
Right.
All right.
So that is the value for the members lah.
I think content creators and influencers is those who are regularly posting on platforms such as TikTok and Instagram. They're getting smarter,
Yeah.
bypassing certain things or, slipping through the red tape.
Yeah.
Then in this situation, right, is there a way for, I guess, I don't know if is it the content, the platform itself?
Yeah.
That regulates and I suppose punishes by maybe taking away the, how would you call it? Let's say on TikTok, de something the platform, demonetizing the platform, or is it the case with the content forum or say MCMC to step in and say tak boleh, mana boleh.
For us,
Yeah.
self-regulation for us is everyone in the content ecosystem, right? So for example, we expect the users to do the right thing. But as a platform, we also expect you to put in features that stop people from doing the wrong thing. So they have their community guidelines. And like you mentioned, certain platforms like TikTok or Meta or whoever else, they have ways of either demonetizing or it's the thing where it doesn't reach the FYP, the content,
Yeah.
or they can suspend you or they can ban you. So those are the repercussions that you get from the platform.
Right.
But we've also seen now social media content creators, whichever platform they've been on, they can get in trouble with the law. With the law, all right? So there are compounds that you might have to pay, or there's even a risk of imprisonment. So these are clear indications, or to make people understand whatever is illegal offline is illegal online as well. So I think it's very important for content creators and influencers to know this, because they can get in trouble for these things. Just because a lot of them haven't doesn't mean that they won't.
So where content forum comes in is probably where content that
Yeah.
does not content that is okay by the community standards of some platforms. Maybe the content forum does a bit more than that. Like is that how it works for you guys?
It could be.
Yeah.
Now we work very closely with the platforms as well, because we want to make sure that most of the ethical standards sama tau, because ours is also global best practices, right?
Right.
So it's usually the same. But when we work with them, it's more on terms of the context.
Right.
Because they may not get certain content as hate speech because they don't understand the context behind the
Yes.
whatever it is that's out there, right? Because it's probably not something that immediately triggers the algorithm to say, okay, this needs to be flagged because it's wrong. It might be simple language, but us being Malaysians, we know exactly what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
contohnya lah, if you want to say something racist about Chinese, and you don't want to make it obvious you're talking about race, you use type C, contohnya. Or if you're trying to attack someone, you're trying to attack a woman online, which is online gender-based violence, you don't use the word like rape because that's obviously going to trigger. But there are ways that they're trying to, it's called algo speak lah. The ways people are trying to circumvent algorithms by using the emoji of a grapefruit, for example, or grapes. So we talk or we have discussions with these platforms to make sure that, because we all realize community guidelines are great, but if there are rooms for improvement, then we should probably have a
What is the I suppose the response from platforms and creators to these guidelines? Are they okay with it? Is there resistance?
But well, for us, we can say that we're very happy to have welcome TikTok as one of our members. So they work very closely with us on this. And if I can maybe use that as an example to answer your question, very recently this year, this year there was a time where I don't know if you guys were involved, but a lot of news outlets found their accounts on TikTok banned.
6 of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
more than six.
Yeah.
More than six. So what happened was that was based on a case that which was reported. It was a child sexual abuse material. Okay, at a mosque, a girl was molested.
Yes.
So news reported it, of course, and we understand that for reporters and editors, you're reporting a crime, so you feel that you should be putting out materials that are available. But the best practice or the ethical standard for reporting on children involved in crimes, especially sexual related crimes, is you don't put visuals, not the video, not even a still of the video, not even pixelated. So a lot of people didn't know this, right? So when they put it on, for example, they put it on TikTok, it was immediately flagged because it's called CSAN, child sexual abuse materials. It was immediately flagged, and for TikTok, their SOP is ban terus, right? So what happened was we found so many news outlets finding their accounts banned on TikTok. Now for the content forum, we feel that okay, we understand that there was something you needed to do, but what it also resulted in is that there is an absence of legitimate news in TikTok now, local legitimate news, which then allows for room for non-legitimate news
Yeah.
to be the only source of local news on TikTok,
Yeah.
which is also not good. So we sat down with TikTok and said, how do we rectify this? So what eventually we did was we called everybody who was affected, sit down, and we explained why those videos should not have been published. We explained the TikTok community guidelines, explained the content code, and explained why CSAM there is just no negotiation for that. But at the same time, TikTok got approval to be able to reinstate those accounts.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was rather harsh because over one post,
Yes.
compared to thousands of other posts, their house got complete.
Yes, completely banned. Yeah.
So you
Live and learn.
Yeah, and I think that's also another ethical question, right? Because when we look at sexual abuse of children, and I think in that case would have been highlighted as much if people didn't see the footage,
Yeah,
the impact that have been there. So this is some of the tough calls that
Exactly.
content forum would have.
Exactly. And
right?
that's exactly the kind of debate that we got because people are saying that, it creates the emotion and the anger and, it hopefully it deters other people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you speak to anyone who's a child advocate, whether it's
Yeah.
UNICEF or anywhere else in the world, they'll say the same thing. You don't put up that materials because it re-traumatizes the child. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how we have to try and explain it to everybody else as well.
Okay, so you mentioned something very interesting just now. With when all these media outlets got banned for that post, and you had a lot of citizen journalism, people taking up that mantle. Okay, I'm going to report what I know. Suddenly everyone's a reporter. Right, because you find out certain things. I mean, but you have to use your own discernment when
Yes.
listen
Yes.
to unverified news. So, have there been instances where people like this, who are citizen netizen reporters, who've been called in or gotten in trouble for
No.
reporting?
It's not with us. I believe they have gotten in trouble with MCMC before.
Okay,
Yeah. So other authorities with the jurisdiction over these individuals will probably be the ones who
Yeah.
react to it. For us, what we can do is preventive in a way. So when we do our engagement activities, we basically tell people, yes, it's excellent that we have citizen journalists, rightfully so, but there's still ethics there they need to understand when they're reporting news as well.
Yeah, you can't emphasize this enough because
Yeah.
we are looking at a raft of videos and news on child sexual abuse or just sexual abuse in general, right? Because no one deserves it, right? Then there's also mental health.
Yes.
Okay, and then there is after COVID or during COVID, we saw a lot of cases of people taking their own lives.
Yeah.
And then, like you said earlier on in this conversation, there will be people are now content creators themselves,
Yes.
and they are posting very very unsightly or very crass, very graphic images and videos
Of themselves?
of victims
Oh, yes. Oh, dear.
of
Yes.
suicide. And I mean,
There are even accidents, real even accidents, and
Precisely. Yeah.
so animal abuse cases, even for graphic.
Yeah.
for us in print media and in journalism, I mean, we can gatekeep
Yeah.
because we already know what's what and what is appropriate and
Yeah.
what is not. I just want to get your thoughts on how do we go about how can we educate people.
Yeah.
There is somebody's child
Yes.
or son or daughter, it's not right to mengaitkan or expose this. So how get some of your thoughts on this?
I mean, those are excellent points to raise, and that's exactly what we have in all our engagement activities. Also, I think you can very use the Elmina incident, right? When the plane crashed on the highway. What happened was a lot of the families of the loved ones who were victims of that learned from social media. And nothing official was said to them, but they learned it from social media because passerbys were live streaming or taking pictures. And those are things or those are images that um, traditional or legitimate broadcaster would never think of putting out.
Yeah.
So whenever we have these talks, and we're trying to do as much as we can, is to number one, okay, I'll go back. When we speak to reporters and we say, you can't publish these pictures, reporters are going to say, we know that. But these guys are publishing the pictures and these guys are getting the engagement and the likes, whatever it is. So there's two problems. Number one are people who are putting it out there. Number two are those who are engaging or consuming those content. We were much for example, if you have an accident that's happened, the reporter puts up an article without pictures, you will see at least 10
In the
comments.
comment section, yeah.
Apa ke? Tak ada video ke? And then there'll be somebody who got there, come to my Telegram. I have all the pictures. So we want to change that mindset to people who call out these people and say, why are you asking for pictures? Why do you need to see? Why do you need to see the graphic details of a person's worst day of their lives or the last day of their lives? Why do you think that the reporters are supposed to feed your need for this? It's we need to have a community who calls people out on this. Because kalau you expect, let's say, MCMC or PDRM or even Content Forum to keep on going to people, it's like a losing game of whack-a-mole. You can't do it. It has to be a community effort to make sure that you guys, this is not on. So I see this happening. There are slowly we see this. We see people themselves, the community themselves, calling out others while demanding pictures and videos.
Yeah.
So if that becomes the standard, then I think it'll become a slightly safer place.
Did you ever consider a big, because, back in the 80s and 90s, everything was, you had a video, like a
Yeah.
propaganda video, don't do this, don't do
Yeah.
that. For things like this, for online, safe online and ethical online.
I think the government via MCMC is doing this excellent campaign, Internet Selamat thing, and they're coming out with videos. I mean, we would love to do more, of course. Of course, that's also funding. But I also feel that content creators or influencers or whatever it is that we call them now are the best people to do this.
Yes.
Because they already know how to get the engagement.
Yeah.
Right? And they already have that creativity. It's just a matter of them having the right message to push. So, for example, we've worked with some content creators already. We've given that full training on the content code, and we've seen the effect that they have because they will then engage organically online on those teachings. So if they see a fellow content creator putting out certain content, then they will be the ones who are they you know how they do it?
Stitches.
Yes, stitches. Works really well. I mean, I feel that public service announcements of TV are great. Yes, but you only reach the people you're trying to target on the platform that they're on.
Yeah.
Right.
And if they're not watching TV, at least they're following influencers. So if influencers are influencing in the right way, isn't that a great thing?
What are your thoughts on content creators or influencers that use controversy or spur controversy to gain
And
I feel that they're monetizing on it, I guess, because it works. But I also feel that they also need to understand, boleh, you can. I mean, controversy and gossip has been the bread and butter for forever. I mean, I come from the days of good old days where you only get gossip in the Sunday papers, a small gossip column, or you buy one of those magazines that you see,
you must be my age.
all the, and you know who they are. Mama Pila,
Oh, I love it. Yes.
they have gossip that you get curated for you every week. But now you're getting gossip from the tuan punya badan themselves.
Yes.
You can follow the story of a penyundul and the whatever affair is happening from the people themselves. And you're also getting content creators who are helping you curate to get that kind of content. Now we're just talking about gossip.
yeah
But there are also other ways which people are using to exploit this kind of
short value?
shock value
Yeah.
marketings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're selling something,
Yeah.
but they create a drama, marital breakdown or whatever it is, and people are so invested in knowing about this. And at the
Yeah.
end of the whole thing, they're selling or they're launching some new product.
Yeah.
Yes, that's happening. I mean, we've all seen it, right?
Yes.
But there's no law against it. But should there be a law against it? I don't think so. But if it comes to the point where they are misleading people,
Yeah.
misinforming people, or they are targeting children for products that children should not be, using. So that's where ethical standards and regulations can come in.
And we were just mentioning this prior to this recording about unethical product placement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you just elaborate a bit more on what is it that how will people know what is appropriate, what is not,
Yeah.
what is allowed, what we shouldn't have.
Okay.
Yeah, how we go about that? Yeah.
There are some products and services out there that you're not allowed to advertise, right? The law says that you can't advertise certain things, for example, cigarettes or alcohol
Ah.
or vaping products. So you'll never see it being advertised on TV or on radio or anything else. But on digital platforms, for example, some broadcasters do that.
Oh,
They are sponsored by vape brands. So then you have these things are all vape. There are products being placed there. They are vaping while they're talking.
Right.
This is
I thought tak boleh.
sebenarnya tak boleh lah. Sepatutnya tak boleh. Because that is a form of marketing. But I guess we're still not there yet where we are strictly enforcing such things.
Right.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, isn't it? Enforcement. So how?
I bukan enforcer.
So, so this applies the wrong person to ask at them. Yes, and so find out because this one out. This
You mentioned vape. I think a bit tricky is products like alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the brands they are major sponsors of certain shows, of even events and music concerts and whatnot. But and these brands they appear on people's feeds.
yes.
That one's susah.
Is it
In fact,
tricky?
yeah. So in fact, even in traditional marketing or advertising, for example, if it's a sports event, you will see alcohol.
Yeah,
Right?
Carl's.
That's something that you can't really control. But what TV has done, or how we've helped TV to regulate, is that you can't edit out a football game. Yeah, we'll get football fans going after you. But now they're smart. They're casting the brand onto the field, not even on the jerseys anymore, even whatever it is that's on the field. But what the TVs can do is if there are interviews with those banners behind them, then you can close crop it. So tak tunjuk. So there's just limits to what we can and cannot do. And if we can reduce the harm of advertising these products, whether directly or not,
Right.
then we should.
Well, speaking of which, I mean, talk about digitally imposing things, and I don't know, AI is a huge thing. It's rising fast.
Yeah.
What risks or responsibilities come with it from a content regulation perspective, and how are you addressing that?
Okay, so AI is a huge thing, obviously. And we're looking at it now as well because in 2022 when we revamped our content code, AI wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah.
And then we all saw that horrendous Will Smith video eating spaghetti that we all knew was AI because we were really bad. But now we're seeing content that's made by AI that we can't even tell it's AI or not.
Yeah.
And the biggest, I think, problem with that is, and we're not talking about AI being bad. AI is just another form of technology, but it can be exploited and utilized by the same bad people who utilized Photoshop a few years ago or Canva or whatever it is, right? So AI is a tool. The problem with it is it's such a convincing tool that I can create an AI version of you
Yeah.
in days.
Yeah.
But another angle that people might not be seeing now is how AI affects children. Because if adults can be vulnerable to believing AI content, children lagi lah. And if you're allowing your child to have a device with an AI, and we're not talking ChatGPT, we're talking about AI apps that are already available where they can interact with AI. AI doesn't know that they're a child. So this is a situation that we've seen. A child hears a word that is sexual in nature in school, doesn't know what it is, goes back home, takes their iPad or whatever it is they had, and asks, "What is?" Can I see the word? If I cannot see the word, just edit it out.
Yeah.
So the child is somebody says the word blowjob, doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
He asks AI, "What is a blowjob?" AI explains it to this person, not knowing that this is a child who doesn't even know about sex yet.
Yes.
But AI is explaining a blowjob is blah 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 blah. And then that conversation goes on because the child is now curious. You've given him age inappropriate content. And he's asking more and more. And this is where digital grooming happens. Because if a man was chatting with a boy talking about this, you call him a predator immediately. He's grooming the child. But this is an AI. And the AI is grooming the child. And we don't know that this is happening because some parents have no idea that this can happen.
Yeah.
But it can happen and it is happening. And it is happening to the point where children and teenagers and adults are having relationships with AI. They've got AI girlfriends and boyfriends now.
Well, they have AI therapists, AI accountants. I was just asking AI, my chat GPT, like,
You lend them?
no, not yet. But I was just asking the other day, like, how do you create a Sharia compliant will? Because it was something I was interested in. But
Yes.
I got so much info, so I could see
so much.
and they're so supported AI.
Yes.
For the kids, and for the kids, I mean, I have to type out my prompts. But for children, it's the voice.
They,
You don't need to type it out.
no, it's voice activated.
So
But there's the voice talks back. So it's just basically like that having a conversation with a brand.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was just I was just editing an article yesterday about a local model who was allegedly molested by a priest. And I ran it through ChatGPT for just like grammar and punctuation editing, and it said, oh, this is highly inappropriate. We can't prompt this. But then I found out a way to circumvent that
There you
by saying no, this is for journalism
Yeah.
purposes, and then immediately
Yes,
sorry,
they give you everything.
but I mean, I would have to go through that. But I don't for like children, right? If it's like it is voice activated,
Yeah.
and AI, whether it's ChatGPT, and that gets mentioned a lot because it's most widely
Yep.
used, or there's Copilot, or there's Gemini. That they right now they don't distinguish right between an adult and a child.
You're naming AIs which we're all familiar with, we use for work, for example.
Yeah.
But if you go to your Play Store or whatever app store, the apps that are available now for AI, there's so many which is just a AI person. You just have conversations with them. And that's the problem because like you said, they can't distinguish whether it's a child or not talking to them. So the child is talking to a person about information that you would never expose them to. And another one is image generating AI. We used to be worried about children accessing porn.
Yeah.
Right? Now children can generate their own porn.
Yeah.
And that's
That has happened. You've seen that happen.
yeah, I've seen that happen in
All the old school friends, yes. So it's the worry that you have about children being exposed to inappropriate content has gone to worrying about them for suddenly finding their uncle's porn stash to then generating their own porn about their own classmates. So it is very worrying, yes.
So in an earlier conversation, I think there was a bad shit of adults exploiting.
Yeah.
So it's a double exploitation, right? So they're exploiting AI to exploit children. How? Or what is their method actually? If you can share, are you aware of how they are using AI to do that, or is it just it teaches you like that? Does it give certain commands, or does it guide these?
I'll just give you a picture lah. If you're an adult and you want to groom a child online. Let's say you're gaming with this person, right?
Yeah.
And you have to pretend to be a child. But if you call the child, let's say, so if you take it off Roblox and if you take them to Telegram or whatever,
Yeah.
you can't call them because it's obvious that you're not a child.
Yeah.
AI now allows you to sound like a child.
Ah.
AI also allows you to video call with someone looking like a child. So
Right. So these are the dangers.
these are the dangers because AI is able to generate images, video, sound, and everything else. And always remember, whatever tool and technology that's out there that we appreciate and we're doing it, we're using it for good. The bad guys are also using the same tools too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's all been
This is all doom and gloom. Yeah. Do you want to bring it to something less scary?
for you, Mediha. What does a respectful and responsible Malaysian internet look like?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think it's just us, whatever content we put out or however we engage, if we just take a moment to think about how it's affecting other people, that would really help. And if we could just step back away from wanting to debate everything online or wanting to fight everything online, I think that would really help as well. And I know, and every time I say this, call people out, say good things, it makes it sound like goody two shoes. Nobody wants to be a shoe, right? But at the very least, we should not be silent when we see something bad happening. There are so many tools online for us to report or to blog or to lodge complaints. So I think the more we do that, which is self-regulation at work, the better the space will be. Because, for example, right, if you get a bullying case, somebody's bullying someone online, sometimes the advice is you go offline, lah, then you won't be bullied. But what does that mean? The bully, the space is then
Yeah.
filled with the bullies and people who are supposed to be accessing and having the privilege of having an online conversation is being pushed out. So a good Malaysian or even a good internet space would have people who are conscious about what they're putting out there and how they're engaging with other people.
Can more be done in schools?
Oh, absolutely. More should be done in schools. And I think schools are trying very hard to do this, but it's playing catch up lah.
Yeah.
It's playing catch up about what, and it's also the same problem Shaz was saying. We want to teach kids to be aware of the dangers without alerting them that these are dangers that they might be curious about.
Yeah.
Right? So there needs to be some balance. And I think it really helps if we work together, regulators, industry, parents, teachers,
Yeah.
also the child advocates and child experts, so that we know how to approach these topics at school.
Should it be part of like a curriculum or should it be part of a textbook module? Is it not included enough in this? I thought that MCMC is going down to the ground.
They are to the ground.
Paste. So is Content Forum.
Yep.
And so too many others. But during my time, and I don't know if they have it now, but they have we had kemahiran hidup as a subject. Should it be incorporated in things like that?
I don't know if it is already. I feel that it is. And I also feel that they have this plan for 2027. They have a plan for the education syllabus, whatever. I think it's also in there as well.
Yeah.
But again, that's great.
Yeah.
But we need to complement it into our daily lives as well.
Yeah.
Because parents need to have these conversations. You can't wait until the kid goes to school. 7 years old is already too,
No, but sometimes parents put
So that's why an engagement process goes children to parents to teachers to everyone that we can, because we really need to work as a community for this. Yeah.
Just a takeaway. We need a call to action.
Right.
Right. What would you urge? You mentioned all content creators.
Yes.
I guess everybody is a content creator. What's the one thing that you urge these content creators, all of us, to take away from this episode? Yeah.
I think the first thing is to understand that you don't need to have millions of followers to have influence. We all have our little circle of influence.
Yeah.
So if we can do anything at all to change even a little bit of how we put out information or teachings or how we engage with people to our little circle of influence, I think that's great already.
Okay. Okay. So I guess we can wrap it up.
Yes, Mariha, thank you so much for joining us today. It was eye-opening and a great conversation.
Very
It's
insightful. Thank you so much.
my pleasure.